The view from where we sit is gorgeous, even if we don't fit inside your little portrait. The big picture is enormous, so we don't even have to fit. We after it, true purpose, yeah, we have to get. We mastered it, reporting it live from back pew, discussing politics, the culture, and laughing at you. Cause you don't understand the viewpoint, don't mean you up by a few points. You just ain't hip to these new joints we on. The world says to follow they pitch, we set the tone, then we knock it over the fence. Oh yes, it's gone. Them haters screaming loud from the bench. They get the bat and try to copy technique, but they miss the point that I mentioned earlier. I see that you observing the way I strangle this beat. Oh yeah, I'm a murderer. Enough of me, let's get back to this gorgeous view. I hope that you enjoyed the show. Welcome to the Black Pew.
What's going on, everybody? Black Pew podcast here. We got a special couples edition to the show. I asked some of my friends who are in relationships, different relationships, to come in and speak about their experiences, to speak about how they feel about certain things in their relationships. So I brought in all swingers today. Wow, so we're gonna be talking about swing. I'm just letting.
Who's swinging?
Everybody's like, wait, hold on.
Interesting word choice.
I didn't sign up for that. I didn't sign up for that. But no, I brought in a bunch of people to come in here and talk about different relationships, and we're gonna do this is a special edition of the show. So if you don't see the normal crew of the podcast, that's okay. We'll be doing more of these for the channel. So first off, we're going to go around the room. Would you introduce yourselves and what you do? And yeah, we'll start with you.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Keith. I am here with my beautiful fiance, Emily, and I know she'll introduce herself here in a moment. But as far as what I do, I work at a local lumber store, basically doing customer service, breaking muscles and sweating and,
basically,
just doing all the regular things that, you would do at customer service. But, yeah, and I'm also a hip-hop artist. I'm part of a group called True School. Shout out to my bro, Jazz Digger.
I asked him to be here.
Oh,
and they couldn't make it, so skip him. Skip him.
I'm gonna holla at you, bro. No, but for fun, I just love to sing karaoke and watch TV shows and pretty much just chill and take it easy.
Okay.
What's up? My name's Emily, and what I do, I actually work for a fire protection company in Seattle. So we do a lot of major commercial and residential fire system and fire safety testing. And yeah.
Okay.
Hey, what's going on? My name's Javon. I am a K-8 child care educator. I'm also a content creator. I run a content creation team called Masenko. And I also am a Christian artist, working on my third album. It's been 3 years, but just working on it now.
Hey, man, shoot.
Yeah.
As long as it comes out eventually.
Yeah, right. I'm here with my wife, Symphony. We have a 8-month-old son named Jariah. And, yeah.
Yeah, so I am Symphony. And I am a social worker.
And what else you do?
I'm a mom. That's about it these days. I'm not really doing as much as I used to.
Don't you be singing?
No.
You ain't sing on his album?
No.
See, that's what
I did not sing on his album. I sing at church, but I'm more focused on being a mom these days. And yeah, I just started my new venture in my social services, so I'm a social worker now.
That's dope. I asked them to bring the baby, and they said they want to get away from the little one.
Absolutely.
So, and I was like, oh, dang it.
He would have took over one of these mics.
Exactly.
And then it would've been over, so.
Or he would have snatched somebody's face off.
Yeah.
That's a new thing.
Yeah.
Just grabbing faces.
No, absolutely
It
not.
hurts.
I know.
Yeah.
I don't know where he got nails because we clip him all the time, and he still got nails somehow. Like he got Wolverine nails coming out of nowhere. It's like-
Next up.
My name is Alcidnio. I go by Al. From Oakland, California. Currently, I work as a software developer, specifically in DevOps for cloud infrastructure. Yeah, I'm just wild. So, you're hearing some wild statements.
Nice. What you be
Yeah.
doing?
What I be doing?
That's the question.
I told you what I do for work. Oh, in general? I watch anime. I work on my house because it has a lot of character that needs to be fixed.
Anime's a job.
Anime.
That's what he
It's
does.
a hobby.
Oh,
a hobby.
I thought he was saying
Yeah,
a job.
I mean,
Also, my fault.
Yeah.
He was like, wait, can I
account,
can
which
I
I'm
sign
pretty
up for
mad
that?
because I gotta get a Crunchyroll account now.
Yep.
It's a whole thing.
I just did that.
Yeah,
The
man.
60-day thing. I'm upset.
I'm upset.
I just
that
left
even
them. I literally
exists.
just left them like less than 21 days ago, and then he's talking about, oh, we merged with them, so I got to go back.
So, yeah. Outside of that, man, I'll be in the gym working on my fitness.
Tyrion. Before the Lord, like, come on.
All right, it's your turn.
I'm Patrice. This is my husband, Al. Oh, wait, it's not about you. It's about me, right? What do I do? I am an operations manager at one of your favorite food delivery apps. And
Uber?
that's not your favorite. I'm certain. Certainly not.
Postmates.
Postmates?
DoorDash. Okay.
Oh,
Jeez.
I don't even
We
use
don't
them.
talk
but-
about them.
I don't want to hear. You know what? I went there because I had a terrible experience, but we're not gonna talk about it.
She had a terrible experience. I ain't had no bad experience.
But yeah,
They was trying to fight.
okay. But yeah, so that's what I do, and I also am an event planner. I think I met Trey
Yep.
after one of my bigger events, and that's like what I do for fun. Sometimes I plan weddings when there's no bride or groom, just for funsies. But yeah. That's me in a nutshell.
She creates open slots.
Yeah, yeah. Like, you want to plan? You want to do a wedding here? I got everything ready to go. I thought you were still. I was just about to ask you about
The museum.
the museum.
Oh no, I'm not at the museum. I'm very random, y'all. I just left as a customer relations and marketing director at the Northwest African American Museum, but now I'm back in industry. So, yeah, I left in September.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Would you ever go back? Was it a good experience?
You know, all in all, mostly yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I miss them. I miss them sometimes.
Yeah.
But, they wasn't paying.
So you're like, hey, I got to go. But let's get to these questions. And the first question is, and anybody can take it first. First question is, what's the benefit of you being married or committed to this other person? Or in the marriage or to this other person? What's a benefit?
Why are you looking at me?
No, I'm looking general.
If I'm gonna say it like it is, like for me, like I feel like there's no, coming from like a background of faith, right? As a Christian, there's no real guilt behind being with somebody, like being with someone and being with someone. You know what I'm saying? And so, just the open availability to really express yourself entirely instead of feeling like, man, like let's say, like I said, like if you go to church and stuff like that, and you got a situation like you get somebody pregnant, you're not married, you know what I mean? You got all that church folk and stuff you got to deal with, and it's of course tying it to the word and stuff like that. You just feel so convicted, like, man, I kind of messed up here, And in most cases, people, that sometimes get into those circumstances, they ended up just getting married while they're pregnant, and just to kind of rectify the situation.
Yeah.
But no, it's just like you have those things. You have a lot more that you could plan for. You know what I mean? Like I think when you're dating somebody, you have your intentions are like, okay, we're gonna do this and that. We're gonna go on dates and hang out and have fun, right? But then when you're married, you start to think beyond that, like homes and children and, you know, just looking around your house and like, this is our house, you know what I mean? Instead of like, I'm gonna go visit you at your apartment and hang out with you and spend the night. You know, it's a lot different. It's just a different step in your, you know, it's like a mental leap, you know, when you get married, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I have somebody there to kill bugs. It was in his vows, honestly. That sounds shallow, but like that's very important to me. Like I kept wondering, what am I gonna do when I get out of college and like live alone? Like my dorm mates, they used to come and get bugs out of my dorm room and stuff, and I'm just like, what am I gonna do? What will I do?
Who's gonna kill these bugs?
Well, one time though, I called a neighbor when I was like interning in the summer. So I was like, maybe that's what I'll be doing for the rest of my life, and that's no bueno.
I'm
so.
trying to figure out why you got so many bugs following you. Like, I rarely see. I don't see bugs like that.
I'm always scanning the room, like, because I'm scared. So that's why he's like, why are you always seeing bugs? I'm like, because I'm scanning. I'm looking for them.
You might want to change your perfume or something. Your soap.
I mean, they be there. Other people just don't see them. I come in and
she come in the room.
Microscopic
All of a sudden, it's like
them glasses are different.
Like they're like, she
I am
in here.
scanning
Let's
the
go.
room.
Right.
So.
Well, I'm glad I can be that for you. Right. But for me, the major benefit is like I come from a background where like super broken family structure, and Patrice's family offers that structure for me. So it's like filling a gap that wasn't there for me, that I didn't even know like I was not running from, but like that was like, yo, this is how broken your family structure is. And so it kind of when you see it, it's kind of just like, oh, this is normality.
Do you think it was something that you guys, was it something you guys like talked about, or was it something that you noticed and like getting in?
It was more so I noticed, because it's kind of just like, well, how do you bring up, how do you like exemplify or even talk about broken family structure? So like there are certain habits that come out of that. Like she talks to her people every day, like whether it's her mom or sister, like her dad or brother, like she on the phone every day talking to these people, and I'm just like, wow, y'all don't get a break. While me, I can go weeks without talking, and it's not just me wanting to go, not wanting to talk to them. It's just that like them not reaching out, because like there have been times where like I'm reaching out on like a bi-weekly, not when I say 2 times a week, like in a week, just to see how they doing. I ain't got nothing to talk about. I want to see what y'all watching on y'all TV type of conversations, and like the reciprocation just wasn't there. And so it's kind of just like, it's normal to talk to you people,
and then you get burnt out, you know?
You get burnt out trying to, you know, lift that burden, lift that weight of you know, just building relationships, basically.
Yeah.
You want me to go? Well, I think for us, I can speak for myself. My relationship with him is kind of the relationship that I wanted, meaning I was previously married and unfortunately had to go through divorce and stuff. And for me, you know, I think I was always, you know, I didn't want to have to get divorced originally. I think, you know, I come from a background, my parents have been married for 40 years, and really solid relationships. So for me, having to go through that experience was, you know, kind of damaging, mentally and emotionally. And then when I met him, it was like when he fit all the categories and, you know, all the things that I wanted in a man and a future husband, all those things. And then for us too, we're a blended family. So I don't have kids of my own. So I'm coming into a partnership now where he is co-parenting with his ex, and I'm having to kind of navigate that. And it's a completely different ball game than what I was previously as well used to, because we didn't have any kids. So it's, you know, it's been like a learning process, not always easy. There's been bumps in the road by some means, but, you know, I have, you know, a best friend, a partner, someone who, you know, fits all those categories for me, and that's really important to me.
Yeah, I mean, and also to piggyback what Emily said, being in a relationship with her, I was fortunate to know what love feels like again. And for a while, I didn't think that was going to be possible, at least for me, just because of, being single for a long time and, trying to find myself and, try to, excuse me, just figure things out along the way. But I feel that with Emily, like, I've been fortunate enough to know what love is like again, and also to be myself in the relationship. And I feel like that for me is a benefit, because
that's a huge one. That's a huge benefit.
Like, just knowing that besides having a lot of things in common, whether it's from, background experiences with relationships or just, what our likes are, they're very similar, and I can still be myself with her and not worry about, okay, am I going to embarrass her? If I do this, because most likely she'll probably do the same thing with me. So I'm like, yes, finally, thank you.
He asked me a question on the way here. He was like, do you feel like you can be you around me? And I was like, honey, if that it wasn't true, like, we wouldn't have gotten this far.
Yeah.
There would have been like red flag,
if
you can't truly be yourself.
Well, as far as entering into a new relationship, you're going to find things out about each other along the way. And I felt like with Emily, I was able to do that very quickly and be comfortable with it. And, now it's been
2.5 years.
over two plus years. So very, very thankful.
That's dope.
Thank you.
I concur.
Yeah.
No, for real. Actually, yeah, that's what I was thinking. The bug thing is true. I wasn't joking. But really, being able to be yourself, like, I think I come from a place where there's always a lot of pressure to perform or to present a certain way. And I mean, those values are still important to me, but at the same time, it's exhausting. And sometimes you're just masking. And it's like, I have a safe place where I can just be me and not try to prove anything. To a fault sometimes, but it's like, man, I'm actually able to uncover these things, and now I can work on these things because I actually had a safe space to, like, really let everything out. So that's a great benefit of marriage. Sorry.
I wanna slightly interject. So, like, we had a really difficult start with the being me type thing, because me being a content creator, we did.
He's like, I remember.
me being a content creator, I was on Twitch, pretty frequently, working with my team, making sure, like, we're understanding algorithms, teaching marketing skills, so on and so forth. Trying to split my availability and trying to be with somebody whose love language is quality time, and, mine was affirmation. It's like two different things, right?
Yeah. Because you could be like, as long as you said I'm a good partner, as long as we had a good time, and she's like, I need the time.
I'd be okay with, like, being eye distance. Like, I see you in the other room, I love you, but it wasn't enough for her. So, we had to work on, since it's not enough in that term, we had to work on balance.
We're still working.
We're working, but it's a lot better.
Yes.
All right. Simply because I'm injured, but it's okay. But no, seriously, like, sometimes we have things that we like to do as men, and, it may not be fitting to our partners what they want. So, when we have to accommodate, it becomes a little strange, especially when we've been doing things for so long. But, I mean, the benefit of it, of course, is, like, more affection and things like that. It just becomes a time game for the guys. You know what I mean? Like, me personally, I would rather watch, anime than watch, I don't know, Real Housewives of Atlanta. I just, Married at First Sight. She loves watching all those things. She loves watching all those things, and I'm just like, I have to. Sometimes I'm a little interested, but I don't like drama like that. So, like, I just rather.
What are you talking about? You watch anime.
But anime ain't real, though. It's not real.
It's a little, please.
Nothing
you watch
real.
Demon Slayer?
I have.
That last episode was a whole drama.
Okay, but you look, ain't no demon walking up in here, and we got a sword. We got to cut him down. That's not happening. We got magic. like we can just. You know, we ain't doing all that. Meanwhile, somebody come up here with a cup of wine and throw it in your face. That's what she watches. So it's
So you like the fake drama.
It's
Yeah.
anime. All right, animation. It's a cartoon. All right, from Japan.
It's soap opera. It is soap opera.
You was a kid. I was watching Dragon Ball Z and thought you could do it. I knew it.
No,
I knew it.
never.
He was charging up in his living room.
No, I never charged up.
You seen that video of that black kid? He's like, I'm Super Saiyan. Like, oh my god, we popped all them blood vessels.
I
for
would say
nothing.
with that though, like even with the issues and everything, the benefit of it is that like you have a partner that you have to work on this stuff, like, and of course like divorce, like that can always happen, that can happen to anybody, but I think like for us, like we have been, that's not even an option. Like the only way you getting out is
through death.
exactly it's through death. That's the only way you
I
getting
think
out, and
what's
so
been-
we have no other option but to figure this out.
But what's
And
been
so-
helping me though is like our son, you know, like at first he wasn't doing nothing. He's just a little baby, right? He ain't doing nothing. But now he's starting to be more animated. He's rolling. He's starting to learn how to crawl.
Wait till
all
he
these
talk
different
back,
things.
man. That, he
Well,
gonna
I
fade
ain't not
you.
ready for that yet.
He gonna fade you,
But like
dog.
him, you know, just him developing has like really brought my attention more to my family. Like I'd rather nowadays
There all the time and stuff like that.
and we
And
live
so-
10 minutes apart.
Yeah, which is
Don't make no
crazy. But like I think for me, like especially because we have a child now, like we have to create our own structure. It doesn't have to look like mine. It doesn't have to certainly look like yours, but like we have to build up our own thing. And then because like kids are just sponges soaking up everything, they're watching like how we interact and how like we love on him. Like that's how he is learning what love is. But yeah. And I guess another benefit I just learned is taxes. Okay? Like, what the heck? Nobody told me that, like, doing taxes together is a benefit.
Saves you a lot of money.
Yes.
Save you
It's
a little bit of
amazing.
money.
Yeah, money I'm not gonna see.
And then having a dependent. It's amazing.
She told me I get this much and she get this much. I was like, why you get the most? Because I'm the mother. I had the baby.
I did not say that, but
I
okay.
was about to say that's
But that was implied.
No, it was not.
That's what I heard.
You
You know, we hear what we want to hear. That's what I heard.
Exactly.
You got to be a mirror to your partner to let them know.
Yeah.
Like, I recognize that you're not as good as handling money, so I'll do it for you.
And you'll spend a little bit
And
more.
you'll spend more.
Exactly.
Like,
Like,
okay.
you know,
Exactly.
like I'm taking care of business. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
wanting to go to
Why-
Vegas is taking care of business.
Why did y'all three all of us?
Let me do it. It's fine.
they all three was like, ding.
His mama named Clay. I'ma call him Clay.
Second question: did you have to redefine your relationship versus what traditional relationships or traditional marriages? So, did you have to look at your marriage and say, "Hey, we're not going to do
Oh,
that or
definitely.
this"?
Definitely. You know, like I'm a gamer and all that, you know? Like I just love like I buy gizmos and gadgets for no reason sometimes. And then sometimes I'm like, okay, I look at the benefit, but then I end up looking around my area. Like I got a at-home studio, so I've built it the way I want it to look. I got my camera quality, I got everything the way I want it to look. So I'm like developing this whole scenario. And she's like, "Why are you spending so much money?" You know? And I'm just like, this is my passion. This is what I love to do, you know? Like, especially like with my studio recordings and all that stuff. Like, I don't know how to mix and master. Just learning how to like look at her like, you're spending too much money. Like, everything you want to buy is over $1,000. And me being like, you know, this really isn't that normal. You know what I mean? Like, because you think about it, you know, the normal white picket fence. Because I told her that one time. I was like, I'm not going to give you no white picket fence. You know, I'm not going to have no top tier, you know, corporate job or something like that. I said, I'm me. I love to be I love to do content and things like that. And, you know, we just need to learn to accept that, you know? And so, just putting that into perspective and then going through the qualities of life with like having a kid and stuff, it definitely, it changes the narrative for sure. 'Cause you have to look at like, she doesn't, I don't know why, but she don't really have a hobby or passion, at least I don't know about. So, but for me, it's like I make this big impact. You know what I mean? I just don't know. I mean, what is it? TV?
That's
Is that a
Said I
hobby?
like minding my
shows.
business.
You know
I
what
hope
I'm
you would
saying?
get the same hobby.
Going to the Rock, getting some drinks. I mean, I don't know. I can't figure it out.
Who are you right now?
That's how they do. They,
You
You know what I'm saying? I specifically told you we are one when we get here.
See,
What the heck? No,
Nice.
I would guess. Well,
We never redefined because it was
Yeah, we
never
never-
normal.
yeah, like
He was dapping me up, and I'm just like, I want to be all lovey-dovey, and he's like dapping me up while we are parting ways. I honestly think it was probably because we were still on campus, and so he probably didn't want his little hoes to see. But, but in actuality, like, our relationship has been much more of a friendship, and I really appreciate now him like forcing sort of this like friendship factor, because for years, I mean, until we had kids, most people didn't even know, like, they didn't know we were together. They were like, oh, I thought that was your best friend. I'm like, it is. It is my best friend. Like, I don't have to be out in his face, but like, we were never normal, and that was how I knew.
never normal, and mostly because of how I think about relationships. Like, our relationship was never following any type of template. It's kind of just like our relationship is what we agree upon, whatever we agree upon, whether it looks normal or not. And most of that comes from the fact that, like, I'm very egalitarian. Like, whatever I can do, you can do, right? So, and like a lot of the quirks of our relationships come from that, and a lot of the issues in our relationships comes from the fact that I'm so egalitarian. What we fall back into is traditionalism, but how we operate, it always comes to egalitarianism. And what I mean by that is, like, we often, not often, but a few times we've had this conversation where it's just like, well, what is man's role in the house and what is the woman's role in the house? And for me, there are specific things that I have. So then I asked her, what are your roles?
Well, I told him what he's supposed to do. You could tell me what I'm supposed to do.
She never told me. It was also, I'm not doing that. You need to take out the trash.
I don't want to touch his
need
germs.
She will complain. She will complain about
There's bugs
the
in the
yard. Now, I love having a nice yard. But if it's like, say, I'm just tired for like 2 weeks, the yard gets a little disarray, she'll say something about, like, oh, you need to get out there and do the yard.
I would not say
Like,
that.
you can get your ass out there and do the yard too. Like, that's what you can do to help the situation.
I could get it done. You want somebody else in your yard, though? Because that's what's going to happen. It's not going to be me. I will get it done.
Well,
but
I can tell you what to do, but you're not going to do it. You just want it done.
Certainly not.
Anyway,
I know a lady that chopped all her toes
situations like
off.
that where it's my responsibility to do the thing. And so I asked her, what's yours? Crickets.
You should have told me like I told you.
And I finally told her. I was just like, you do the food. You make the lunches. You make the dinners. You're responsible. I'm responsible for breakfast. But lunch and dinner, that's on you. The kids come and ask me, Daddy, I'm hungry. I was just like, well, what's in there to eat? Go get a snack until lunchtime. And then when it's around lunchtime, I'm like, y'all done ate a snack already. All right, it's lunchtime. Go ask your mom because it's time for food. I don't think about food. I'm not helping make menus. I'm not doing none of that. You do the food.
Yeah,
I do
fine with
everything
me.
else.
He sure does.
I wash the clothes.
Praise God.
I clean the kitchen.
He sure
I
does.
do the yard.
I try to help with the kitchen.
Housework. A whole bunch of other stuff. I'm not doing the food. And so with that, once again, these are the roles that we defined, and so that's what our relationship has become. And so, like, traditionally, she would handle the housework. I would be outside. It's just like, well, it kind of don't work like that.
In the house, so I don't know, man. I know about the rest. I'm just kidding. My parents both did, but my mother said she prayed for me and my older sister that we would get good jobs so that we could get house cleaners. So, I mean, you know what? I didn't have to pay for one.
You telling on yourself.
I don't care.
You know,
I'm good at things.
I feel like when we first moved in together, I feel like there was very much I do the cooking and the cleaning and you help with this and that, and then
I'm not a good cook.
but I come from with being, I guess, prior to meeting him and being in a relationship, I was very independent. I did everything myself. And so I kind of came into that in the relationship. And then a year ago, I injured both my knees, and I was basically bedridden for about 5 months. So because of that, he had to take on a lot of those roles that I was just, doing, because that's just kind of part of my love language. That's, I take care of things. That's what I like doing. And it's not even like a burden or anything like that. So in turn, it became frustrating for me because I didn't have control of everything. And then he had to do it, and he did great, but we definitely, I don't feel like I feel like even though it was hard, it was a good thing too, because then we can equally share the roles in the relationship. So he says he can't cook, he can cook if I give him instructions.
She was like
microwave like a summer biscuit. Look here.
Beep, beep, beep. No, I mean,
hit that right time.
I think he just is kind of like, I don't cook, and like that's that. And I'm like, no, let's try this.
You gotta learn to cook. You gotta
for us,
when the skillet is burning and there ain't nothing in the skillet, that means I shouldn't even be in the kitchen. I'm just trying to tell
you gotta put a little olive oil in the pan.
Yeah,
that ass helps a little bit. I will say that.
But I mean, now that I guess things are slowly getting back to normal and I'm up and moving around again, I have taken on those roles again, and I'm okay with that. But it also was a good learning lesson for us of like, if, through sickness and health, even though we're still engaged, like that's a huge, like that right there is like my motto for our relationship is you fill in and do whatever you need to do for, your partner. And I think we're doing all right.
Yeah. And I think that, as far as if it's redefining or going more of the traditional route, I feel like it's a little bit of both. In the traditional sense, I feel like the idea of being in a relationship, and what I mean by that is, just loving each other and, things of that nature. I feel like that's the traditional part of it. And then with the redefining, like just right out the gate, like she, has been very supportive of, what my passions are. As my man was saying earlier about, what your passions are as far as, gaming and stuff like that. Like going into the relationship with Emily, I basically told her right away, my passion is music. Like I love music, and come to find out that's one of her passions too. But
I didn't mention that in the beginning.
But, she's at times more supportive of me pursuing music than I am of myself. And to me, that's huge. And like, she's just that great support system. So I feel like that's not something that always comes about, I feel, when you're in a relationship. So for me, again, I'm very thankful for that. And, I'm glad that she accepts me even though I can't cook that well.
It's crazy. Like I actually had to somewhat put music for me in the back burner because I know how to do everything. Right. And if anybody knows anything about engineering, that stuff takes hours.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So my writing process, my recording process is fine, but doing the engineering is like always been the issue. So for me, I mean, I had to figure out how to incorporate like time windows. You know what I mean? Like I know I'm gonna have this amount of time. Like I told her the other day, because I was like, I need to record something real quick, and because she was gonna go out and do stuff, and so I was like, okay, I got a couple hours to do these things. You know what I mean? Because I already read it out, already pretty much pre-planned how I was gonna do it, and then made the graphics and everything and released it. So so just learning how to put in my own pocket windows, because I know for me, like I used to put music first in a lot of different ways. So that's how you come out with 2 albums, right? So, but I was also engineering for other artists and stuff like that. I sold a couple songs, written for a couple people, but I just knew like getting into a marriage, I knew that was the first thing that I had to slow down. You know what I mean? Because that I don't want to become somebody famous. I always want to be, because I know like in the background, like producers first. And then engineers and songwriters, those guys all make the big bucks at the end of the day. I got my writer's license. I've produced for about 9 years, and I learned how to engineer about 5 years ago. So, just being part of the credits for people's projects and stuff itself is so much easier than trying to be like, oh, I'm about to go mainstream, and because you have to work for all that. You know what I mean? Your record company, like, I'll give you $1 million, but it's a loan. Yeah. Because you got to do well. You got to do well with sales in order to get that money back. Here's some rent of jewelry. Here's a rent a car. You know what I mean? Go ahead and go on Instagram real quick, flex it out real quick, and then pay us back.
Do you feel like I just had that question in my head. Do you feel like you're like readjusting how you felt about the time you're spending with her and the time you guys had together versus the time you with music? Do you feel like that was something you realized early, or you feel like that was something you realized like
I cannot hide my face, I'm sorry.
You can't.
I think it's constantly like we're constantly learning that, because for me, like, it was always a struggle, because even though like I probably didn't even see this in my own family structure, like there was things that I seen in my parents' marriage that I felt like they could have done better, and I wanted to do better in my own relationship. And so like him being a content creator and all of that, like, it's so foreign to me. I always felt like, okay, like, you're the husband, the head, you should be providing all these things, and like I'm supporting. And so when he wanted to, focus on content and, focus on the album, focus on music, all of those things, like, like I always felt like when is it going to click for you that like we got to pay bills. So that's not number one right now. And so I need you to, like, as a husband, to shift your gears and to focus on like what's going to make the money right now. And so that's been like the difficult thing for me, like even just trying to learn how to like be supportive of a person that's a creative, like has a creative mind and is a creator and stuff like that. Because like it took me the longest just to realize, okay, he's not conforming to my idea of what a husband like looks like, and it's just an idea,
which is not a bad thing.
Yeah,
it's just I think that's good that you realize that, and then also that he's realizing that too, that both of y'all are like, hey, I'm not gonna fit that cookie cutter, right. And you're like, hey, maybe I need to throw the cookie cutter away.
Idea. All right, that's what I got in my head. This is what is working out in real life. We're gonna have to compromise.
Yes.
And also, like, you said something. It's just like the head. So, like, traditionally, the husbands are the head. Me, I try to bat that away as much as possible because we are both steering this ship. Right. I may be at the helm sometimes. You may be at the helm sometimes. But this relationship is both ours, and I feel like. Well, even though Patrice defers to me a lot, and I'm just like, all right, cool.
Indecisive.
Same.
Right. But like this relationship is both ours. So we either gonna drown or we gonna ride this out together.
Yeah, I think a lot of times our relationship looks like traditionalism. In a lot of ways, it is. Like whenever I quit Boeing, that was hard for him, but he was like, okay, cool, do it. And he was there. He's like, okay, I'll take care of stuff while you figure out whatever the hell it is you got going on. Because I was I left Boeing. I went to New York Live. He's like, well, go ahead and go to hospitality school. Yeah, I got a hospitality degree while I don't know what I was doing. I was all over the place. And this was not what he signed up for. We came out here together so we could go to work at this company together. And what are you doing? But so now I've got this husband who is like holding everything down at the household. It's very traditional looking. I'm going to take care of this while my wife just kind of does whatever. And housewife, I was not very good at that at all.
Jesus Christ.
I did not have the talent for it.
My wife does not have the talent for it.
I have so many other talents. That's not one. But yeah, and then he was like, well, just if you want to go to hospitality school, go ahead and do that. Like, I'll keep this going. So I did that. And I worked in hotels and I worked at a museum. Y'all, I went to engineering school, and this is what I'm doing right now with my life over the course of about a year and a half, just everywhere. But he stayed strong. And then when I got on, I left him for a while. Just kidding. But like in that time, it looked very traditional. But there was also a time when he wanted to go and, what were you doing? Floodgate? He was coding and stuff. So it was like, okay, I have to try to make this stuff work. Like, I'm struggling trying to do laundry and food and babies. I'm just like, oh my goodness. And he's working and then driving to Seattle to do classes. But it's like, okay, now it's my turn to support. But it kind of has switched back and forth that way. So sometimes it looks traditional, but at the end of the day, it's really like doing what is best for you. And I think that's really what our relationships have to realize. Like, there is no right way. Even things that look or seem traditional, like, the world isn't even set up for that anymore.
Right.
So you got to do what works best for you. Like, I don't really care about, like, my parents. I will tell you, my mother said to me, don't have no more babies for Al to take care of.
Take care of the babies, man.
And he said he loves taking care of my babies.
I take care of other people's kids if they in the
So, you know what? And it hurt me.
We in grocery store. Who baby is that walking by himself? Come here. We just come play with mine.
And it cut me so deep because it was like, well, geez, I feel like I'm not a good wife. No, I am what my partner and I have agreed to. I'm always trying to be better. I hate to see him do so much, but like, yeah, we've discussed things, but when other people are looking in, it's like, like even my sister hopped in, like, oh, you don't even like to do bath time. Al was working on that house with Daddy all day, and then you told him he needs to do bath time. I said, cause we keep score. And people say it's a bad thing. It's not. If it's your bath night, it's your bath night. Sometimes. Bath night. And the thing is, and sometimes I have a long day. Like, I used to work 70-hour weeks. If it's my bath night, it's still my bath night. He's gonna hold me to it.
Wash them.
And that is how we keep our sanity. Like, and sometimes we do seed. Sometimes it's like, I see she really needs that help, or oh man, he's been out all day. Let me try to get this bath time done before he gets home. Like, we do that, but like, we know what we've agreed to. So, okay, sister, when you're looking in and seeing it looks like, oh, I just don't want to do bath time even though he's been working. Nah, when I be working too, he's still going to make me do my bath night. So, yeah, like.
Full course meal.
You got to just.
Hours in the kitchen.
Make sure y'all know what's going on. And I cook every night. Except for Wednesdays. That's pizza night.
But I think for people who are outside looking in, sometimes we can be like, y'all not doing what you're supposed to be doing. Or that don't look right. You didn't open the door for her. You didn't take the kids. Like, you're not watching your own kids. Or for some people, we can have this view like it's supposed to be traditional. So why aren't you doing that? But I'm looking at you guys like, why aren't you doing that? And you're like, this is what we decided. Right. Like, this is what, like, I take for instance like my brother. They have 6. They're going on 7 kids, and at 3 kids, we were like, time to cut, time, and because we were like, everything ain't going perfect, so
7 in this economy.
And that's the thing, and but at the same time, my family, like my siblings, we're not in their house. We're not in their relationship. And so I can't make those decisions. I can judge or I can criticize, but also knowing them, like knowing the kids are all great kids. Like, hey, I kind of don't have no place to criticize. Like your scheduled bath time, you take and score. Like, what that got to do? Like, with if I said something, that would be stupid. That'd be foolish of me. Of course, siblings we're gonna say something, but at the same time, out looking in, it's like you don't know what people have agreed to. Like, you don't know what marriage is, and I think for people, it can for you guys look way different. You're like, man, people are judging us, and then for us, it's like y'all should be doing.
Marriage is an agreement, anecdotally and contractually.
And that was a struggle for us too, because like for me, like I said, I'm close to my parents and stuff like that. Like, it was nonstop. My mom always has something to say. Always has something to say. Like, when she would come over, like, you know, like, why isn't he doing this? Like, he gonna be upstairs in in his studio all day, and then you start thinking about it like, I need you to come down here, and he don't know that I just got off, like, I just stopped talking to my mom or whatever. Yeah.
He probably knows now.
Well,
I mean, I knew. I would always tell her, like, you know, like, stop taking intake from your parents and other people. Like, you're not going to talk to other people. Like, I'm gonna, if I told her, like, for instance, if I gave her a response to something, right? Sometimes she gets, like, second guess about it, so she got to get a confirmation from somebody else.
Because I'm indecisive too.
And I'm
so
like,
I gotta talk
I'm
to
like,
everybody
look, I'm your
about it.
husband. If it's a conversation that we have, this should be something that we agree upon. You don't have to, because you going out to outsource people makes me feel disrespected. Like, you don't trust my word for what it is. And so, but for me, like, you know, just even like the principle of, like, you know, traditional, I don't even think I know what that was. Like, I knew I had parents and they were married, but they were always fighting and separate. Like, my mom and dad they slept in separate rooms for about 10 years. And it wasn't really necessarily a choice per se, but it was like my dad liked to keep his room a certain way. My mom willy-nilly kept hers a certain way. So they decided to sleep on 2 floors. And then my grandmother moved in for about 10, 12 years or so. So she had the other room. And then the whole house is just split up. You know, and we didn't come together for dinner. We didn't have a dining room. It was just like a place you can walk through, you know, and when food was ready, you get your food and go somewhere, wherever there's a seat, because we just had random stuff where my mom would love collecting, like, antique stuff, because she used to run a real estate, you know, liquidation type of business. So she come home with whatever. And I'm like, look, Buddha, all this stuff, like Chinese cabinets. And she's like, ooh, this was $3,000. I got it for $200. I'm like, no, stop bringing stuff in here, you know? And now that stuff has just been sitting in the storage. I'm like, she could just resell her whole thing and get a couple grand. But like I said, I didn't really know the structure of a traditional family because mine was so separated, you know? So then when I come into a marriage and she's telling me, my dad did this, my dad did that, I'm like, my dad did it. My dad.
I know what I'm doing.
Right. My dad used to clean my car for me. Look,
He sure did.
He did.
my dad didn't.
He sure does.
He did.
But
But I think context is key, because knowing your parents, like, you would kind of want that. Like, your mom's a really good mom and your dad's really, really dope dad. And so it's like, looking at it, it's like context, like, yo, you should want to be like this dude. It's like, well, that's not really what.
I had a conversation with him one time. I was like, you know, I told her that, I said, your daughter's spoiled. And he was like, well, I did spoil her. You know, that's all she knows. I'm like, well, that's what she's not going to get.
But, like, when I grew up, like, my dad, like, he always told me, like, until you get married, like, not, like, it sounds bad, you belong to me.
No, that's true.
You know, like, I'm responsible for you and this and that. So he did, like, a lot of things. And I never thought I was spoiled, but, like, there was expectations of, like, things that I expected for him to do. Like, whether, like, I told you, like, my headlights out. Like, I expect you to get it done. Like,
Go fix it.
like you know, why do I gotta
look up YouTube and go fix it?
I have done that. We was just talking about that in the car. But, like, certain things like that, and like, I had to learn that, like, there are certain things that he just didn't know, like, how to do. And so, like, and sometimes you have to, like, my mom would be saying things to me about my relationship that she didn't even have in her relationship, which was funny. But, like, I had to learn to, like, you know, okay, like, I don't want you to, like, talking on him no more. Like, he's not doing this, that, and the third. Like, because compared to other relationships that I've seen, have been in, whatever, like, it does not compare. Like,
I ain't got no record. I ain't
like,
out in the streets. I ain't got no
like,
kids, you know? What was I doing?
Traditional too, though. The in-laws, like, trying to be in your ear about it.
When
Like, I feel like it's
in-laws
really,
trying to be in the marriage, that can ruin a lot of marriages.
You can really stand up and say, all right, y'all, you're done here. Like, that, again, is like breaking traditionalism. Like, I'm not trying to, we are not all married here together.
True.
Mind your business, that's all.
Right. Yeah, because you don't want.
I'm married into, not married you. Like.
And I think at the end of the day, like, something that I have to work on is not comparing my relationship to other people, what other people are doing. Like, I only need to focus on what him and I are doing and what we're doing for his kids and our family. But it's hard. It's, you know, it's hard to break, like you said, it's hard to break that traditionalism because, I mean, my mom, is like my best friend, and I talk to her 4 times a day too. But originally, like, or even before I was dating him and engaged to him in other relationships, she'd be like, oh, well, this is what I think about it, and and then the feisty part of myself as a Scorpio, like, I just want to be like, well, who cares? Like, I'm gonna do it my way, So I think it's hard though, because then you're like, oh, well, so and so is doing this, and that's really great. I don't have that, but like at the end of the day, that doesn't truly matter, because what we're doing is working, and that should be the important part.
Do you? I want to ask the guys. Oh no, I want to ask the women. Are you? How often do you talk to your mom, or your siblings? How often per day do you talk to them?
3 or 4.
Yeah, I was
Per
gonna
day,
say.
maybe 2. They be calling. I'm like, don't y'all got jobs?
I call
They be
while
on- I be on the
I'm
phone
at
listening.
work.
I was gonna say we more message, like, back and forth on like texting or messaging, and then I like call him like 2 times a week. My sibling, my brother, we're close, but he's horrible at responding.
Oh.
So, but we, as far as parents go, yeah, I talk to him quite a few times a week.
For the guys, how often do you talk to your?
0 to 1 every 3 months.
That is a lot.
Over the past 2 years, I have one sibling that I talk to regularly. The other people have problems that they don't want to resolve, that they asking me money for. So that causes an issue. So I don't talk to my parents because mother died when I was 7. Father's currently in prison. And I can only talk to my grandfather when I reach out to him. But conversations with him is good when his dementia ain't kicking in. What I'm saying? He can remember the conversation.
Yeah,
But it's not that often. Like once a week. I may talk to my sister once a week. But we may talk for an hour and a half.
Oh, okay.
But
That's kind of new.
yeah. No. Me and Amber been talking like this for like the past year and a half. But the rest of them, man, when I see that number, it be like, what she want? And then I know I'm gonna be light $50 when we get off this. But
My brother,
man, not that often.
My brother's, he's been in prison for about 15 years, so I message him whenever he can message me back. A lot of times because he just transferred to, what is it? What's it called? Like a camp. So, they're preparing him to come back out and stuff. So he's been a lot more sociable, but prior to, wasn't that much. And then my sister, I don't know what she's doing. Like, she's always doing something. She's always somewhere, got a new job somewhere, moved somewhere. And, I never really hear from her. And if I do, it's about some old picture, like 20 years ago. And, like, look at us.
Remember
and
that
I'm
time?
like, we look just like each other in this picture. And I'm just like, I think you have some type of dementia or something. Like, you keep going back.
I don't know if this is a guy thing, though, because I do know people, like male friends who, like, regularly talk to their family members.
Yeah.
And so, like, I don't want to say it's a guy thing, but I just know, like, my sister will answer more than my brother.
Oh,
Right. Gotcha. So it's just like when I call my sister, she be like, "Let me call you back." When my brother is kind of just like, "Yeah, I saw your phone call." This 2 days later. I get a text.
At least you
Not a
get
phone
that.
call. I get
At
a
least
text.
you get that much. That's why I don't call my family. Like, I literally expect them not to answer. So I'll call and I'm like, this they ain't gonna answer. And then they don't reply, and then they don't call
playing
back.
phone tag.
That's how it feels. That's how it feels. Like my
I know that
dad.
game.
My dad calls his dad every Monday, and if I do decide to call my dad, he might be asleep or something, and then I expect him to call me back, and he never does. And then when I get my mom probably texts me a lot more recently. Because she's trying to, she just got out all this medical stuff, so she's trying to be more involved with my son, and so I hear a lot from her, But I'm most of the time yelling at her about my dad not calling me back. I'm just like, oh, I'll call her, and I'm like, is dad there? She's like, yeah. I said, tell him he's a buster. And he needs to call me back. And he still won't call me back. And I'm just like, dude.
That's crazy.
But they came over like a couple weeks ago, and he was wearing some do-rag and some jean coat. And I'm like, what? And then I asked my mom, I said, what's this do-rag for? She said he finally can comb his hair over, and so he's just going through it and just think he can get waves or something. I said, oh, no.
What about you?
Well, my parents both passed away recently. My mom last month, and then
Sorry to hear that.
in 2020 my dad passed. But thank you. But when they were still here, we would usually talk on Sundays. That would be our, regular time that we would catch up and just to say hi and stuff like that. And sometimes during the week we would, catch up too, but mainly it was usually on Sundays. And I would usually wait until they were done watching Joel Osteen on TV, because that would be from like, I think 10 to 11 or 10:30 to 11. So like I
He's
knew
on
after
time.
that.
Yeah.
He's on time all the time.
Yeah.
So
Let
like
it be
after
Joel
that, I
Osteen.
would call him. You know
gonna
what I'm
be there for a
saying? But now, because I'm the youngest of three, so I have an older brother and an older sister, and so now we talk on Sundays just to keep that going. And so if it's not actually talking on the phone, we'll text just to check in, just say, hey, just want to say love you, and hope all is good, and we just keep that moving. But yeah, I mean, that was something that I definitely appreciated, because even though it would just mainly be like on Sundays that I would talk to them, we would always continue where we left off, basically. So
Well, let me tell you, if my mom was here, I'd be calling her about random shit.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey,
Yeah.
Mom, like I don't know where the light switch is. Type stuff, man. Like, cause I just like messing with people. But yeah. And I know you the person who's supposed to pick up the phone when I call.
Right.
So,
Next question. What's something that surprised you about yourself in your relationship?
I guess it was less. Well, for me, it was less about me and more like things surrounding that made me. So like I was raised by my grandfather for the most part, and like in realizing like how I deal with conflict in a relationship, or how I go about just doing anything in the relationship, is like how he acts. And I remember my dad telling me when I went to go visit one time, he was just like, his mom, my grandma, told him, he was just like, that's not your baby, that's Sydney. My granddad's name is Sydney. That's Sydney's son. And you just like, that's not you. Like that calm that baby is, no, that's that's not none of you. That's Sydney's son. And so like even growing up, when I would go visit him or be at his house, like I would always want to be around him. And he was a property manager, so he was always working on stuff. I'm always around him. So like realizing how much of that carried over into my relationship, it was just like, oh, okay. And also going back to the family structure thing, juxtaposing Patrice's family with my family, you realize how not normal things were. And so, and like in us getting a relationship and having a baby, and me trying to craft this family environment, like it wasn't until like I really like stayed at her house and learned about her family and their habits that I realized, like, for me, when I was trying to craft a family, or a family environment, it was just based on what I knew and not trying to do what they did. It wasn't necessarily, I didn't know if it was the right thing, but I know if I did the opposite of what they did, I'd land
It was gonna be okay.
somewhere in the right area. You know what I mean? Right. So those were the two things that surprised me.
I think I realized that I'm not as patient as I thought I was, and I can be kind of controlling. I like things a certain way, and it was difficult, like asking someone or like leaning on somebody for help, and then getting frustrated when they didn't do it the way I thought that they should know that to do it, because you can't read my mind, even though I didn't explain it. And so that was frustrating for him, because he would just get like defeated, I guess, because I'm like getting frustrated with something that I asked for him to do, but I didn't explain it. You didn't do it the way that I thought you were supposed to do it. And so and then too, like, I'm just high anxiety, like when I get flustered or I get anxious, I guess, like I cause him to get in this weird space too. And so I didn't realize that, like, I know that's a learned behavior from my father. And I remember, like, as a kid feeling like when he got like high anxiety, anxious or whatever, like it trickled down to the whole house. It was like the whole house, like, mood changed, like we were all walking on eggshells. And I realized, like, that's how I was making him feel. And that's not a habit that I want to repeat. So
yeah, I learned that I'm a lot more patient than I thought I could be. And then sometimes I lose that patience because it's just too much. You know, I've you know, growing up in a household that was so split, a lot of times we learn to bottle things up, and then it just becomes so overwhelming where we just finally just explode for a moment, and then we come back be like, okay, that wasn't right. So sometimes I might get really upset because I'm tired of the same things, and you know, like, let's say it was like an assumption of some sort, and that wasn't the circumstance, and so I get fed up over time, and I'm just like, boom, like, no, that's not what happened, da, 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 da. And then it's a trigger for her when I start raising my voice like that, because it reminds her of her home, you know. And so I've learned that I'm more of like a peacekeeper than I thought I was, you know. I know, like, keeping the peace in the home is very important. A lot of times
ready for war.
I mean, I am too, by all means, but like most of the time I just, like, I need to just step away for a moment. Even if I walk away from the situation, it may not just be me, just like, I'm not trying to ignore the circumstance. I'm probably just going away to, like, you know, pray or just sit down and just wind down, and then just, like, because I'm always the first one to apologize, because I don't like feeling like there's animosity in the situation, like, because, you know, maybe 10 minutes later I actually need her for something, and if she's still upset with me,
that sounds so crazy.
you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna get nothing from her. I'm not gonna get a response or nothing, and then now I'm just like, dang, I can't do this, whatever I wanted to do. Let's say I wanted to buy something, like, oh, I see something on Amazon, but she's mad at me from 10 minutes ago. You know,
just go ahead and buy it and deal with it later, dog.
They called it other, you know. Well, no, we've been reading this book. We've been reading this book called Love and Respect, and one of the things it talks about is what's called the crazy cycle, and that's basically just, like, you know, this repetition of, like, you know, just arguments and stuff like that, and how they trickle down, and how women, you know, want love and then men want respect. And so, like, looking at those different perspectives and just trying to incorporate that, which we've been going through marriage counseling for. It's helped a lot with our communication. And so, yeah, just doing that. And then, like she was saying, like, doing things a certain way. I've always been a precise type of person, simply because of, like, music and stuff like that. I'm like a perfectionist of things. But if I'm not directed, like, let's say you said, can you go give me that water bottle? You have 2 water bottles right here. I need you to tell me which water bottle, where it is, because I'm just going to go up and be like, okay, and she's gonna get the water bottle, and I'm just like, which one? And so she'll get mad at that, and I'm just like, if I grab the wrong water bottle, let's say I grabbed that one and she wanted that one, no, not that water bottle, grab the other one. Then I get frustrated because now you've told me to do another thing which I just turned around to do. I don't like repeating myself. So, you know, these are the things that have been clashing, but it's like teaching me to be like, okay, her indecisiveness might creep out a little bit, and it's just a lot, you know. She tells me that, hey, put some clothes on the sun. Okay, put clothes on the sun. Not that clothes. Like You told me to dress him. No, put that
At
onesie
least
on.
let his clothes match.
Well, even if it's a onesie, she'd be like, not that onesie. I'm like, it's a onesie. You know, he's warm. Like, you know, she wanted him to
I
wear
would
not
say,
so that
are you
might
going
not
to
be-
change him? No. Cool. We roll.
I will change him. That's the issue.
She will take
I
about
gotta
the
go
whole
back.
onesie. She will take. I'll put him right in front of her shoot, and then I come back and he got some different clothes on. I'm like, what?
Because you know, by the time my son out here looking crazy, like it's just not happening.
Not like the ones he said kick me. You know, it's like.
I mean, I think for me, I did everything opposite in this relationship. Like, I was always like, you know, when I find the man that I want to marry, like, I'm not going to move to another state. I'm not going to, you know, I had all these things, like all these, you know, this list of things that I was like, I am going to stick to this. This is my plan. And then this guy comes along and totally, I mean,
That's a
in
nice
a good way.
list you
Like,
got
I think
there.
it made me realize that, like, I couldn't have, not like I mean, I could have expectations, but I couldn't have, like, you know, I had to kind of compromise. I think that was a big part. And when you find someone that you are madly, deeply, and so in love with, that all those
you
things
better
kind of
watch
just
out
get those get thrown out the window. I mean, I moved in with him 6 months into our relationship during COVID. I found a job during COVID. Like, there were things that, like, I had never, you know, kind of taken a risk on in my life. As far as, like, moving, you know, I had grew up in Oregon my entire life until I was 32 years old. Sorry. Taking me back a little bit. And, you know, I had, like, said, like, these are the, I remember specifically, I had, like, a list of, like, 15 things that I was like, this is what I want my future husband to have. And granted, he does fit a lot of those, but as far as, like, moving in together before marriage, you know, moving to a different state, I didn't plan any of that. Like,
COVID
but
do something to you, I'm telling you.
I don't know, right? No,
Try them COVID babies, a little different right now.
no COVID babies yet. So, you know,
Right.
hopefully we're on the downfall of COVID now. But, you know, it's just, it's like when you know. And I think, you know, I definitely went against my own personal grain, per se. But, you know, I'm okay with that.
Bless your heart. Nah, I feel like I also think that I'm more patient than I thought I was, and at times impatient. But I also realized too that communication is so key, and I feel like for me that's something that I hold near and dear, like just, well, in a relationship and just in general, but knowing that I can easily and openly communicate with my partner, and just, you know, it could be about anything. Like I'm very thankful for that, and also just realizing that being imperfect is okay.
Absolutely.
Because, like, you know, being an artist, you know, I too can be, you know, a perfectionist as far as, like, when I'm trying to write and trying to piece everything together and make it sound like, you know, different. Not trying to be the best, because I'm like, yeah, I'm not the goat. I'm not even a sheep. I ain't no dagnam animal, but I'm just me. So, like, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
You know, but still working on just progressing and moving forward. And trying not to put as much pressure on myself than what I'm already.
As long as you don't sound like Juice WRLD, you're doing all right.
You know, facts.
We too old for that right now.
Yeah, for real. Yeah. I just turned 44, man. I'm like, yeah. I ain't Benjamin Button. So. Yeah.
I think the thing that surprised me most was just how much control I realized I didn't have just in general. Like, again, I'm like, my family, okay, I'm trying to think about this. We're, like, really well known where we're from, and people have all these good things to say, you know, oh, they're so smart, or this and that and whatever, and we are, but it's not just, it's real. It's not just an appearance. And so for me, I guess maintaining the real appearance is very important. But when I get somewhere and it's like, I can just be myself, And when I started just letting things out, realizing how much control I really didn't have was very surprising to me. Realizing that, like I think I felt safe. I feel safe knowing that I don't have to put on when I'm with him. But I also was surprised at how much I just let go because of how safe I felt. And I mean, I'm still working through that. But it's like, I just never imagined. I think I imagined that in marriage I would be, again, more traditional. I thought that I would be better about the laundry. Like, I thought it would be like my mom. She sorts all that laundry and she gets it done. I don't know, she keeps all the babies clean and shiny. She steals babies from church and takes them back in new clothes and shiny. Like, I thought I was going to be doing stuff like that and acting like her. And I thought that I would.
You part of the 30 Club?
Huh?
You part of the 30 Club?
I am.
Yeah, see, I think that's what happened. Because it happened to me, too. I'm just like, man, I was a lot more active before I hit 30.
I mean, and it happened really after having kids. Like, even, like, we had our first son when we were in college, and I never slowed down. I quit a couple of extracurriculars, and then I had that baby with me and meetings. I was NSBE president. That baby was flying across the country, going to conferences. Like, I never slowed down, and I was like, okay, this is kind of what I imagined for myself. But I also thought that I could do everything, and I was really surprised when I couldn't. I couldn't do it all. And then it just felt like, again, like he's doing everything. He's taking care of the house, and I was just surprised that I would let this happen. I was surprised that, like, I would be a wife kind of just sitting along for the ride. Really surprised. And now sometimes I find myself surprised that people think I'm a good mom. Honestly, I don't care about people. Like, sometimes I find myself surprised that he thinks I'm a good mom. And, like, it's a lot. I don't know why I'm getting teary. I am also very emotional for no reason. Ignore. But, yeah, like, all of these surprises, and it's like they're all kind of contradicting, but it's like, I thought I would be perfect at this because I'm used to having this perfect image and being able to maintain these things and being so good at all the things. And I was just surprised at how bad I was at the things. But
I knew who you was when I married.
Well, I didn't. Whatever. He be acting all surprised.
I thought I knew, man. She stopped cooking when I started cooking.
See, that's when you just starve her out. You gotta starve it out.
Nah, man.
I cannot
it's in
cook.
Me, man. It's in me.
But yeah, like, just so surprised even to just kind of realize and start digging in and realizing that, oh, this is not new. These things aren't new. I've just been very good at, again, just masking and always being on and performing. And I think that also kind of added to the load. Like, oh, there's so much I can just let go now. And it's too much. It's too much. Like, nobody should have to deal with that. Nobody should have to do everything. And honestly, it's a blessing that, like, I'm like, I don't even know why he's still here. But I mean,
He love you, girl. He love you, girl.
Get
it with that mind. I love you, girl.
Man, but yeah, it's like
I'm gonna give me a new model in like 7 years.
Get
that
bills
trade-in
paid. But yeah, like that was really, really hard for me. Like, just realizing, like, you are really not in control. You can be, but you're not. Like, you putting on, and honestly, you're putting all your energy into the wrong places. Or even when I was working, even just recently in the last year, working this 70-hour job, and I'm like, yes, I got all of this in control. I'm turning this thing around for this job and doing all this and that for them. But my family's getting the scraps because I'm tired. I got to take the mask off, and they're left with what? And I'm like, that is surprising to me that I can't just keep it all going. My mom did all the things, but I'm also realizing, no, she didn't. No, she really didn't. So yeah, just even realizing that, like, in trying to be like my mom, I'm like, that wasn't even realistic. Like, my dad did all our cooking. Like, he cooks much better than her. But yeah, but like, even just realizing, or like, she worked at the church growing up, so I'm like, we were always at the church late at night. So I'm like, I guess I was her in that way. working all hours and acting crazy like that. But yeah, that has been really hard for me, just realizing that you don't have as much control as you thought. And now you got to figure out either how to gain control or how to be okay with not being in control.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, I go to a lot of therapy, though, so we working on it. I'm getting there. And also realizing, I'm pretty sure I got ADHD. We working on that, too.
God knows my heart.
So, yeah, I'm like, there's a lot of things that's like, oh, that is surprising. Did not know it's going to go that way. But, yeah.
See, for me, it's all about listening to Janet Jackson's Control album.
Oh, man.
Control of what I say, control of what I do. That joint comes in, you know what I'm saying? That helps me.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised at, like,
hearing Rhythm
how
Nation
much I
when
follow
you start
him.
talking.
Like, he thinks that I just be doing my own thing. But for real, like, if he decides he's going to eat the piece of cake, I, too, will eat the piece of cake because he has given me the okay. And that is
That's
not,
how I am
like...
with her for some reason. I don't know what it
Nah,
is.
That's-
man, no. See, this is like
no.
I said, like I be saying, she follows me in all the bad
No,
stuff.
because if he says, no. If he
She
says,
don't
come on,
follow
let's
me
fold the clothes
and make
together.
Sure these kids
then
clean up
I'll-
after themselves.
That's not true.
It's the easy route.
That's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
true.
yeah.
But
Whatever
no,
the easy part is.
no, but for real, it's some serious things too. But honestly, that was surprising to me. Like, why am I following this man? But yeah, that was surprising. But
I'm
here I
coming
am.
too.
Your spelling sisters would be ashamed
Don't tell
of you,
them.
girl.
They don't need to know.
What about the cake? Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I need a piece of cake too.
Oh no! Best believe I am not passing up no wedding cake or no birthday cake. I'll take that cake topper if they let me.
Jesus Christ. But yeah, man, so much surprise.
Yeah. Last question for you guys. How have kids changed how you relate to one another?
You birth your own cock blockers.
It's true.
I know y'all ain't in there fucking.
The little one.
I gotta go to the bathroom. The bathroom down the hallway.
The little one. He's minding his business. He'll come and jiggle the door handle. Can I come in there? No, go away. What do you need? And then he'll go run away. He didn't need anything. He was just
I
like,
just want to see you.
what do you? Go away.
See what you're doing. You better not be doing what I think you're doing.
Yeah.
What do
Making
you-
another me.
No locked doors in this house. But I mean, yeah. So that was the biggest for me. I was just like, wow, man, this is crazy. I can't get it in when I want to anymore. And then it's just kind of just like, now you like fall into this thing where it's just like, oh, let's get a quickie in, or you got to schedule situations
I'm not
like
ashamed
that.
to schedule.
But, like outside of like once you take away that aspect and get out of we can't do sex when we want to, the other part is like you kind of have to it forces you to be more intentional with how you relate to your partner, specifically because like kids require a lot of attention and they require a lot of attention all the time. The moment they are in your space, like I go pick my kids up, soon as they go get in the car, the environment changes. It's just like, oh, we're gonna go get a snack. It's just like, yeah, we're gonna go get a snack. Okay, I can't wait to go get a snack. And they want your attention and they're talking to you and you need to do stuff for them. And then when you get home, there's more stuff to be done. And it's just like, take care of the kids, take care of the kids, take care of the kids. Okay, now the kids are asleep. Shit, I'm tired too. So you may fall asleep on the couch or like, you know, just like be at your desk. Well, I work from home. Be at my desk, like trying to get a little bit of more work in, just or focusing on your hobby,
I
but you
wanna
can't
hang
be too
out.
loud because the kids are trying to go to
I'm
sleep.
trying to kick it. You trying to
Yeah.
do more work
Yeah,
because
yeah.
the kids took some time.
And so it's kind of just like, well, there's my time, there's the kids' time, and then there's time to be together. So like having the kids there, since they take a bunch of the time and attention that you would just normally have just lounging around the house being with each other, you have to be more intentional about what your partner wants, what they say, what their interests are, and then you take the time to to like show appreciation for those things. Right? So it just, for me, it just caused me to be more intentional because like these things aren't going to happen by happenstance. Like the kids just take too much time. You be in the middle of a thought, Daddy. Oh God. Now I forgot with all the stuff that I was thinking about.
Right.
Yeah, stenographer, I guess.
I think they've affected in a good way too, though, because like kids are weird, man. They ask for some very odd things. So our little one was like, "Oh, can we ride? I've never ridden he wanted to ride a city bus and a train." And so we took a trip. We took a family trip yesterday, actually, and we rode the bus and the train downtown and went and did some stuff down there. And I'm like, we always had adventures together. We were having fun. Like, we really had a lot of fun. But it's like, I think if the kids weren't there to kind of drive some of the nonsense or oddities, we would never just hop up and decide to take the bus and the train. And it was fun. They got the full experience. There was a fight and everything. It was great. But like they bring they also bring like other kinds of just ways to relate or memories to create with one another, like being able to be out together and make this trip happen and see like kind of the wonder, like it's riding a bus, but for kids who never been on one, it was like showing them a whole new world. And to get to do that with someone else and to see that, like to get that experience together, like you wouldn't get that if the kids didn't push it. So, or doing late night science experiments. We do science at like midnight at our house all the time. And it's like, we wouldn't be up doing that kind of, well,
so much duct tape.
Well, he did make potato knives before. But yeah, it's like, we wouldn't just be sitting up doing that.
Empty 2-liter water bottles, food coloring.
Yeah, and sometimes we drink while we're doing it. Like, I wouldn't do drunk science at midnight together with you if the kids weren't there. Dog. It's their favorite thing. It's so easy. But yeah, I'm like, so, I mean, they definitely changed the way we interact. In some things, it's like, man, a little detrimental. But in other ways, it's like, yeah, I wouldn't have, like, done this if you guys hadn't, like, been here pushing for these odd things. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
It's been, I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm still new. I'm just new to the game. You know what I mean? You guys all got kids that are older. But for me, well, the first thing is, like, she has a queen-size mattress, so that was fine just for the two of us, right? Mm-hmm. Then we get a dog, and then she started putting the dog in the bed. Dog got comfortable. Now, the dog always has to be in the bed. She's little, but I was like, okay, there's a dog. Okay, it's by my feet, whatever, right? I was used to, you know, just being in bed with her and stuff like that. And then we got this boy. And now, you know, when he was first born, all she wanted to do was hold him, sleep. We had this rocking chair in his room, and we would just sleep in it. Both of us would just swap out between times and just, you know, sleep, but mostly her, because even she would wake me up to be like, give me him, and I'm like, I'm trying to lay with my son, like, you know. She just always wanted to hold him. And now it's like, you know, recently she started letting him sleep in the bed. So where am I sleeping? Because I ain't fitting in that bed and sleeping on my side all night, you know, like wake up with a bad shoulder, hurt back. Because we tried it for a little bit, but it was just like we had to be conscious that there's a baby in between. The room's too small. That's the problem. I would love to, but
you don't need a dresser.
Oh, we get in the house.
We need a dresser, dog.
I'm about to just break a hole in the wall, but no, we're working on a home, but So how have you ever recently, like, you know, he's been sleeping in the bed, and I'm just like, we gotta get him in his crib, because, like, you know, he's just he the moment he knows he's not with somebody, he's just crying. Mm-hmm. So you gotta comfort him by just being there with him. So we tried the whole pick him up, hold him a little bit, put him down, and go way back down. 10 minutes later, do it again, and it just was all night long. And so she was like, okay, just lay with him, and then he sleep through the whole night. So where am I sleeping now? I'm on the floor in the other room, in his room. You know, so that's where I've been at.
Like, don't blame him on that.
I mean, I was doing that too at first, because honestly, I do like laying on the floor. I don't know why, but it's so comforting to the spine when you get older.
Yes.
You know, because I like to lay down and I'll just start rolling side to side, and you start to feel that back crack and stuff. Oh, it's different. It's like, who needs a medicine ball, really?
Side note, go see your chiropractor. Get you a chiropractor. I'm serious. It'll change your life. It'll change your life.
Yeah. Especially when he does that neck wiggle.
Yeah.
That's my favorite part.
It's different. But no, it's taught us to like he was saying, it teaches you to be more intentional. We just got done talking about that kind of stuff because first of all, the healing process of pregnancy, that's a whole long wait for us as men, if it, especially for the first birth. And then trying, it was difficult because, her body wasn't really adjusted to it. So I got afraid because things were happening that she was like, oh, that don't feel right. And I'm just like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? So like, I'm just like, dang, it puts you in a situation where you start to think like, is this ever gonna be normal? Like, so now I'm just like waiting for this kid to get big enough so he can start doing things on himself. Like sleeping in his crib by himself and stuff like that. Maybe I could walk away for a second. Like he just, panic mode all the time now. And so, just trying to work on, how can we situate ourselves around this boy, which like I got a shoulder impingement recently. And basically that's like when the bone is like pressed against the other two bones in your shoulder, based upon like repetitive movement. And I got that from gaming because mouse and keyboard.
Yeah.
So I had to dumb it down. I started playing with the controller, and I hate controllers now. I grew up console, but went on PC recently.
I don't know.
I could, but then I'm behind.
That ain't an option. That ain't an option.
It ain't an option when you're behind. Something new just dropped.
Say, like, what you mean? Stop playing.
Right.
Stop playing.
You got all your friends. No. All your friends are like, yo, did you get to that part? No, bro. I'm still at the beginning, like stuff like that. You just
they start
behind.
losing faith in you. They don't call you no more.
Yeah.
They don't invite you.
Like he changed.
I already got married.
I had a shoulder, but I hurt my shoulder. He changed.
Right. I got back on the other day. I just found out a good shoulder rotation I was doing, and I was smacking people. So we might be back. But but no. But seriously, like I've in doing so, I've intentionally been spending more time with my son. Like I said, I love the fact that he's been more animated and stuff because it's just like I'm starting to see the both of us. I don't know how she was as a kid, but I know certain things that he does I didn't do as a kid, so it has to be her. But a lot of the times I'm seeing me, and I'm like just so mesmerized by him. You know what I mean? He just, like I said, he just turned 8 months on Saturday, right? And just seeing like his teeth growing in, and he loves. I'm sorry, he loves me. He loves her, but he loves me. I can literally take she could be holding him, and I come up in the room, he'd light up, and his whole demeanor changes, and he will stare at me for her. Like and he's starting to do the reaching and stuff.
Hungry.
That could be very much.
I told her, look, man, once you're not a food source no more, I just want to get you prepared. That like they not gonna be running to you first.
And now he mad because they always calling him.
I'm just like, for me, I'm just like I love like our relationship, how it is. I just wish our home was bigger. She's been living in this townhome for X amount of years, and then I moved in, and we kind of outgrew it very fast. So, when we get a bigger home, I feel like there's going to be a lot more opportunities for a lot of things, in our marriage, in our time as a family and stuff like that. She works 5-6 minutes from home. I have a split schedule. I work with kids in the morning, and then I get like a 7-hour break, and then I go back for about 4 or 5. And then, so yeah, it's worked out quite well so far. She can work from home sometimes, and it's just adjusting our families. But in doing so, like we're still working on the intentionality of things, for sure. But I wouldn't say it's been bad though.
Oh, it's part of the game. Like it's just kids come, you gotta start learning how to play in better, be more responsible. Yeah.
There's definitely been like a learning curve. We got pregnant pretty fast after we got married, like I think 4 months in. Yeah. After we got married, and so like it's been like I don't know, like it's just been like a learning curve, but like for the good. Like we had like just being new parents and stuff, like having to learn everything like on our own, like having to keep this person alive and everything. And I mean, these, like, I think the struggle at first, like when we had him, like just going to doctor's appointments and the doctor saying little things and or whatever about, like, you know, there's so many things like with kids, like they're like how they're developing, are they meeting milestones, all these different things. And as a new parent, it's scary, but like just being able to have your person with you. And they're like, my son had a surgery like a couple months ago, and I mean that was the scariest thing of my life, but like you held it down, like, and I was just so appreciative because we were actually, like, it was crazy, like the month before I had him, like we both got laid off from our jobs, like literally around the same time. And I was like, okay, like, I don't know how we gonna do this, but it just worked out. I don't know how. Like, I was on maternity leave. He got to be on maternity leave, and we was not even working. But we were on maternity leave, and we got to stay home with him, like, until he was, like, 6 months. And so, like,
didn't miss a bill, wasn't behind on nothing.
Yeah, and it was just, it was crazy because, like, I mean, it's kind of normal, like, you know, for the mom to be there, like, first 3 months and stuff, but for the dad, like, they don't normally get that. And so the same kind of bond that he has with me, he has with his dad. And so I just love, like, seeing, like, them, how they connect and everything. And even when he sees new people and stuff like that, like, you know, like, I don't know, like, that's dad, like, that's mom, like, he knows, like, I don't know, it's just a different kind of bond that I've never been able to see, like, it's my first kid. And so
I think the moment they talked about SIDS too, I've been on, like, crackhead alert since then. Because I literally, like, sometimes I sacrifice my own sleep just to wake up out of nowhere and just go check, and I'll put my hand on his face or something, or poke him somewhere just so he can go.
Look, you gonna
so he twitches.
You gonna watch to learn just to watch the chest. You gonna learn.
Well, I can't see it in the dark that well. I'm part Asian, but anyhow. I'm just saying. I'm not the best nighttime driver.
Cones and rods don't work the same.
I need reflectors off the top of my eyelids or something to see the light better or something. But no, it's honestly taught me to be much more attentive, you know.
And just, like, I think for me too, like, the aspect of protecting your family, like, has been the biggest thing for me because, like, before when I was single and stuff, I was, like, super active in church, available to everybody. Like, you know, if you need symphony, like, just call her, whatever, she'll come. And, like, I've had to learn, like, even just being married and then having a kid, like, no, you don't get that time. And it's been crazy because it's such an adjustment. I'm I guess a people pleaser, but I've had to learn to say no. Like, this is sacred right here. And even with my own family, like, no, like, I can't do this. Or, no, my husband needs me at home. Like, I'll be telling my dad that all the time. My husband said I can't go up there, so. And I just be doing that to aggravate him. He doesn't even be caring. Like, he ain't telling me nothing. But I be like, oh, no, my husband needs me at home, so I can't come over right now. So.
Let him talk to me about that.
Just protecting that. Like, you know, because I'm adamant about my son seeing, like, two people that genuinely love each other, that genuinely respect each other, because, like, I didn't see that. Like, my parents are still married. They've been married for 42 years, whatever. But, like, me seeing them, like, them being my example was not always the best. Even though they stuck it out, they did not have the best relationship. And I'm adamant about, like, him, like, seeing that. Like, even, like, he was talking about earlier about, like, you know, he's calm and then, like, you know, there's times where he can explode. It would be so weird to me because, like, he's not a person that yells at all. But, like, when my son got of age, when he started noticing, like, your different tones and stuff, I was like, oh, hell no. Like, you know, don't raise your voice around him. Like, I don't even want him to, like, and it'll happen, like, obviously, but I don't want him to recognize, like, you know, when you ever seen babies when, like, they hear, like, a loud voice or whatever, they just start crying. I don't want him to know that, like, there's ways we can go in the other room and talk. Like, we don't have to repeat habits. So
yeah, and I looked at it like, you know, with my dad, my mom and dad are still married too. They've been married for 32 years, but they stuck it out, and it wasn't the most, you know, it was very toxic. You know, I'm talking. My mom tried to run my dad over with a car. She pulled out a knife on him. All these different things. And she did some crazy things. You know, and I'm finding out still today a couple more things that he did, because he was my saint. You know, that was my dad. You know what I mean? And my dad, they may have not been the most attentive at times. And we kind of raised ourselves as kids because, of alcohol and these generational curses that I'm breaking from my family. I refuse to do that. But one thing that he always did was he stayed. Mm-hmm. As a black father, you know what I mean? He stayed because he was like, he endured because of us. And they had to learn to love each other throughout the years because, they met each other at the club. And then 3 months later, she's pregnant, and he's deploying back. He's deploying back to Germany, and he was just like, "Hey, they just got rushed into marriage, Yeah. And my grandpa, he was Irish. He was racist, so he didn't like my dad for a very long time. He dropped the N-bomb on him, and everything. And so, them going through these adversities and stuff, and the fact that he stayed, meant a lot to me as a a father myself. For my own son, and even for my brother. My brother's not even his biological son. He came in, he was 3 years old, and he treated him no different than me, And even though my brother was in and out of prison since 12, he went to all his court dates and everything. And he picked him up every time he got out of juvie and all those things. And he always told him, "I love you, son," to my brother, who wasn't his biological son. And so that said a lot to me as a man, to be here for my son. I don't care what my wife and I go through. But I'm never going to leave him, realizing like, hey, this situation itself, it may not be the prettiest, but mom and dad still love each other. Mom and dad are always going to be there, Because there's too many people out here trying to co-parent and stuff. They get a rise out of each other and they just break down because, why? Because you don't have a strong foundation and you're just like not really mentally, you're not mentally strong enough to be able to maintain these different issues of life. Let's just be real. You're immature. I'm not trying to say that for everybody because some situations are different. There could be abuse. There could be maybe financial issues, which is probably, it's definitely one of the most, problematic situations in marriages. But there's things to do to fix those things. And people just don't want to take those steps. And I'm willing to take those steps for my son and my wife. Regardless of how I feel, it's not going to end up like that for me. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's really important, especially being black. And understanding the stereotypes and stuff like that, like even in gaming, I hear racial slurs all the time. I hear people say, "Oh, you don't know your dad." I'm like, I do know my dad. You want to see a picture? Like, I got to send it. I'll take one with you right now. Let me FaceTime him and put a timestamp on here and put the date. You know what I mean? And so like you hear those things and it's sad because it's like, oh, my dad was either murdered, he was not there, or he abandoned us. You know what I mean? Like, and I was like, I'm not going to do that for my kids at all, period. And so, yeah, it changes everything. The whole dynamic of life changes when you get that responsibility of another life. And I think that's really important.
For sure.
Just noting on statistics, black fathers are actually the most active of all races. Just because they're not married doesn't mean they're not active in the children's lives. So, yeah, it's a mess. But, yeah.
I mean, I think for me, I kind of coming from not having children of my own, I think that coming into a relationship with someone who already has 2 girls and has, created obviously a life and a bond with his kids and his girls. I think for me, the biggest thing is like, I can't be selfish. Like, I know at the end of the day, those girls are his life, and I have to be okay with that. And I'm totally okay with that because I see how good of a dad he is. And I'm not ever going to like take that away from him or make him feel bad for putting his girls first, because at the end of the day, he gave life to them. Like, why would I ever take that away from somebody or someone that I'm in a relationship with? And, I think for us, it's like, we're still trying to figure out, like, are we going to have kids? Or is that just the blended family that we have? Like, are we good with that too? Which, I think right now in this moment, like, we're good with where we're at. We're obviously try to see the girls. They live in Portland, and try to see them as much as we can. And then also for me, just understanding that I'm never gonna be the mom, and I'm totally okay with that, because again, those are her girls. She gave birth to them, totally understandable, and just trying to create, understanding boundaries and being respectful of that. I think, being not having kids yet, I think, I had always thought, okay, well, if I come into a relationship and someone already has kids, like, I'm gonna have to understand that. And, I'm not saying it's always easy per se, but at the end of the day, like, those are his girls, and and I'm happy, obviously, to eventually be their stepmother, and I'm gonna obviously take on that role, when it's appropriate, and obviously I have a great bond with him already, but just understanding that, like, the girls are his life and they come first, and being okay with that.
And so, just to piggyback what Emily was saying, it's a beautiful thing to see that, my daughters, they have their mom and then they have me as their father. But with Emily being in the picture now as my fiance, soon to be wife, that, she is totally understanding of the situation. Like she said, coming into this, not having children of her own, but still willing and wanting to embrace not just me, but also my daughters, because those are my everything. They're my, I like to call them my heartbeats, my life, my everything. And so to see the bond that they have with her is a great thing to see. And and yeah, I just think that, when the time is meant for it to happen, we have children of our own, she's going to be a fantastic mother, because she's already being that way to the girls as a stepmother to be. And like I said, she's totally understanding and, just willing to be there for them as much as possible. And, I think that's very important.
So what y'all saying is that get rid of them kids and y'all be
Man,
y'all
fuck
have
them kids. I love my kids. God,
Yeah.
Y'all ruined everything.
They're getting to, because they're 17 and 11, my daughters.
Oh, okay.
So they're getting to ages where they're learning more about themselves and becoming their own. And so I'm sure my oldest, when that time comes after she graduates high school, she's going to be out of here.
See that.
Just, I may be lucky if I get a text maybe once a week, be like, hi, Dad, I'm good. Talk to you later.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But that to me will just be like, okay, you know what? I can move on with what I'm doing now because I know you're okay.
Yeah.
So.
But I think kids also, they take a lot of that with them. Like if there's a good step parent or there's the mom, dad, whoever, they take that with them as they get older. Mm-hmm. Like I was married and I got divorced, but I still talk to her kids. They've grown up, had kids themselves, and they've talked to me about their kids. And I don't have any kids. And so it just like when you're good to someone, like it definitely carries on, and it definitely like shows them that like they can still like you have that relationship, like especially with you. They can be like, hey, yo, she's super dope. Like my dad is I don't like him right now, but I'll talk to her. Like
Sometimes it feels that way.
Yeah.
That's cool though.
I didn't find out until I was, I think, in 4th grade that my grandfather wasn't my biological grandfather.
Oh wow.
Mm-hmm.
He adopted all of my grandmother's kids. It was 4 of them. He adopted all of them. All of our children are named after him, grandchildren named after him. Like that's our papa. That's our daddy. Like nothing can change that. But what I did notice is that all of his kids married people who already had kids and adopted their kids. And honestly, well, he thought, my cousin who lives down here in Tacoma, he was like, yeah, that's her. We look alike, first of all. But, like, she and my mom were just so close all the time. She had me all the time. And, I mean, they like, why do you act so much like her? I'm like, because that's my cousin. Even if there's no blood, like, my uncle adopted her. She was part of the family. Like, all of my cousins, actually, like, you would never know. And it was like they all learned how to be this model of step-parent. And I have never heard anybody in my family even use the term step-parent, actually. Like, that's my daddy. That's my mom. Like, yeah. Like, he gave them a great example. So, yeah. When you got a good one, it shows. It shows.
Yeah, that's true. Well, we're about to wrap it up here. I want to thank all of you guys for coming. I really appreciate it. I love the conversations. Love hearing about you guys' relationships, about you guys' kids, just about you guys as well, too. Because I think hearing separately about yourselves and not just about, like, the couple is important as well. So I think it's good. And I'm going to do this again soon, too. And I'm going to have y'all back on 6 months. Be like, you made us fight. Or you made me take my bath time back.
Look, man, we get off our therapy calls, and that woman, we be laughing at how confused that woman is. We have a great time.
So
we'll get on there and argue.
We be talking about serious stuff and laughing at each other. Do you?
Like, we ain't gonna fight about this.
Y'all mean that? Y'all horrible.
Yeah, man.
Both of y'all.
She don't know. She was just like, that comment was so horrible, but y'all laughed at each other. I don't know. Could you guys stop laughing?
No,
Nope.
It's absurdly funny. Now tell us what to do.
Redefining.
I know. Yeah, that's true.
Redefining.
Well, thank y'all so much for tuning in. Black P Podcast, Couples Edition. Make sure you like, share, subscribe to the channel. And I'm gonna put links to where you can find these individuals and on social media, and you can go harass them as well too in their comments. So, all right, y'all take it easy. Peace.